I built the architecture. He took the credit for it in front of the board. The Git history showed 47 pull requests with my name on them and 0 with his, because he had not even started at the company the week the design was approved. The version control system already knew. It had known for 14 months. My name is Alex. I am 38 years old. I am a senior backend engineer at a 30-person SaaS startup in Austin called Threadwell. We make collaboration tools for design teams. I have been at the company 4 years. My wife works for a county government job that gives us our health insurance backup. My daughter is 3 years old and goes to a small preschool in our neighborhood that costs about what our mortgage costs. We are doing fine. We are not getting rich. The job pays for the family. In year 3 of my time at Threadwell, our database started buckling under our customer growth. Our query latencies were climbing and the on-call rotations were getting unsustainable. I was the senior backend engineer who had been there longest, so the platform reliability problems landed on my desk by default. I opened a Jira ticket on a Tuesday afternoon in March of last year. The ticket was titled Long-Term Database Architecture Proposal, Postgres Sharding versus Migration to Yugabyte. I outlined what I thought the path forward looked like. I tagged the engineering leadership, including our then VP of engineering, a woman named Priya who had hired me and who I trusted completely. The ticket received 12 comments over the next 10 days from the team. We discussed trade-offs. We made a decision. I drafted a 16-page architecture document in the repo and opened it for code review like any other change. 28 revisions were committed to that document over the next month, 26 of them mine and 2 of them from other engineers correcting small errors. We approved the design in mid-April. Priya left in May. She took a chief technology officer role at a larger company. We were sad to lose her, but we understood. Our CEO began searching for a new VP of engineering. He hired a man named Reed in October. Reed joined the company 8 days after we started the migrations implementation phase. I had already shipped the first 3 pull requests of the project before he had his Threadwell laptop. Reed was 45 years old. He had been a director of engineering at a much larger company before joining us. He was polished and confident in meetings, and the CEO clearly respected him. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt for the first 3 months. By month 4, I noticed he was moving conversations out of Slack and asking people to discuss things in person. By month 5, the company's internal narrative about who had driven the database stabilization had started to shift in a way I could feel, but could not quite point to. In April of this year, 14 months after I had opened the original Jira ticket, our CEO presented at the board meeting on the state of the platform. He used a deck Reed had prepared. The deck described the database migration as a Reed initiative. The exact language was, under engineering leadership, the team consolidated on a Yugabyte architecture that has reduced our P99 latency by 61% and stabilized our on-call burden. The credit went, in the room, to Reed. I was not in the room. I was on call that weekend, fielding a noisy alert that turned out to be a false positive. 2 weeks later, the CEO asked me to a quick meeting. He told me, in a friendly tone, that the company was reviewing roles for efficiency and that Reed had recommended a small set of changes. He did not say I was being laid off. He said the conversation was preliminary. He said he wanted my honest input. When I left the meeting, I drove home, and I sat in my car in my driveway for 30 minutes thinking about how to handle this. I considered going to HR. I considered asking for a meeting with the board. I considered sending an angry email to the entire company explaining what had happened. I considered quitting on the spot, walking back into the office Monday morning to clean out my desk, and finding a new job. I considered every option that a person considers when they realize that something they helped build has been quietly taken away from them by someone who did not show up until the construction was almost finished. I did not do any of these things. I went inside. My wife was making dinner. My daughter was watching a show about a small bear who plays a tuba. I helped my wife finish dinner. I read the bear story to my daughter twice. I put her to bed. I came back downstairs. My wife asked me how my day was. I told her my day had been long. She did not press. She had learned, over 14 years of marriage, that I tell her things at the kitchen table the next morning instead of right after they happen. After she went to bed, I made coffee at almost 11 at night, which I almost never do, and I sat down at my home desk, and I opened a terminal. Every architectural decision Threadwell had made in the last 4 years was logged in our Git repository. Every commit had a timestamp, an author, and a descriptive message I had insisted we write properly in code review. Every pull request had reviewers. Every design document was a markdown file in the repo with its own commit history. The Jira ticket I had opened in March of last year, the original architecture proposal, had a creation date. That creation date was 3 days before Reed's start date at the company. Reed had not been the one to drive the discussion. Reed had not been at the company. I did not write a counter memo. I did not write a defense. I did not schedule a meeting. I opened my screen recording tool and I recorded a 15-minute walkthrough of the actual repository. I started with the Jira ticket creation date. I showed Reed's start date in the company directory. I walked through the design document's commit history, scrolling through the 28 revisions and the authors of each. I pulled up the original Slack thread from the architecture discussion, the one before everything moved to in-person meetings. I showed the list of the 47 pull requests that had implemented the migration over the next 12 months. I sorted them by author. My name was on 41 of the 47 as the author. The other 6 were from 2 other engineers who had pair-implemented specific modules with me. Reed's name appeared on 0 pull requests in the entire migration project, as author, as reviewer, or as a commenter. I never said the word betrayal. I never said Reed had stolen anything. I never raised my voice. I let the screen recording speak for itself. I sent the recording to the CEO Friday afternoon in a one-line email. I wrote, "Hi Marcus. For your reference, I put together a quick walkthrough of the migration history from the repo. In case it is useful as you think about the team review. Have a good weekend." I closed my laptop. I made my daughter dinner. I did not check my email all weekend. On Sunday night, the CEO sent a one-line reply. "Thanks, Alex. Let me come back to you on Monday." On Monday morning, the CEO scheduled a 30-minute meeting with me in his office. He thanked me for the walkthrough. He did not bring up the layoff conversation. He asked me what I would want if I were in his shoes, in terms of how to handle the team going forward. I told him I wanted to keep building. I wanted to be left alone to do the work. He nodded. On Wednesday of that week, the company announced that Reed was moving into a special advisor role to focus on strategic initiatives. He was no longer running engineering day-to-day. The CEO took the VP of engineering role on himself in the interim while they searched for a replacement. By the end of that quarter, Reed had given his notice. The official statement said he was pursuing other opportunities. He did not get a goodbye party. I received a retention bonus equal to 4 months of salary. I was promoted to principal engineer at the end of the quarter, the second person at the company ever to hold the title. The compensation increase covered 2 more years of preschool tuition with room to spare. Here's what I learned. The infrastructure of any serious software company is recording who did what, with timestamps, every minute of every day. The version control system does not lie. The Jira ticket history does not lie. The pull request reviewers do not lie. Nobody in the company had to take my side. The repository took my side because it had been watching the entire time. The lesson is not that you need to be paranoid. The lesson is that you should not be afraid of what the systems already know. The day you need them, the day someone tries to write a different history of your work, the systems are still there. They were keeping a record of you the whole time. You just have to remember to ask them to talk.